Okay, so I'm over at the computer and I have the design that I want. And this design is 10 by 3 by 12 inches. Okay, my paper setting right now is set on tabloid, but I'm going to be printing on a printer that only prints 8.5 by 8.5 inches wide. Um, so I'm just going to set that on 8.5 by 11 inches here. Now, one thing you want to do when you're doing like images like this is you want to make sure that this is white, this background right here, right? Go over here and make sure I'm using my RGB palette. I'm not. Let's see here. Check that RGB palette. Okay. So white, I'm going to just go here and do a square and make that square white. A lot of times you'll print something and then the image that the customer sent you, it will have a square around it. So you see right here where this white is 255, 255, 255. And then if I go over here under the B, it's 253. Sometimes you'll have like a grayness around that area. So you want to deal with that before and make sure that you've got a total white background before you print this image. A good way to do that can accomplish that a couple of ways. If you're by turning this, we could turn this into a PNG and remove the background on it. This image has a little background noise. Not much, so I'm not going to worry about it. You could trace it. We're going to try to do a bitmap mask on it, and when I do the mask, hopefully that works. So we want to hide a color. I'm going to pick up this color right here, and I want to remove that color out of this design, and that remove the color. Now I know that I don't have a background or anything. If you don't have the ability of removing this background and you're printing out of, let's say, just paint or something like that, you can always go over to this website, remove.bg, and upload your image. I'm going to upload this image here that has a white background, and we're going to remove it, and that will remove the white background for you without you needing the use of Corel or any other graphics program. So now that we're back over here and we've got the image, what we want to do is we want to print it, and I don't want to downsize it. I want to print it the size that it is, and I'm actually going to downsize it a little bit. Let's go to like 11 to about, let's go about 10.5 or so. Okay, so I did downsize it a little bit. So here we are, and notice it's still too big for the sheet of paper. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rotate it at a 90. Oh, and I do have to flip it because I need it to read backwards, right? So I'm going to flip it and it to read backwards. So I've got it here on the page. There are one or two things that you can do, and you can do this in either program. In any program, you could just print this, right? I could print this sheet, and then I could come back and I could move it, and I could print this sheet and then tape it together. But what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to print because we are using Corel, and so we have the ability, and we got 8.5 by 11. Let me see what type of paper did I have that set on over here. I got that set on 8.5 by 11, so I'm going to go into print. Our printer, we're actually printing on 20. Okay, we need that printer to be set at 8.5 by 11, and I don't know why that's showing that it's 8.5 by 11 because that's an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and that's an 8.5 by 11 sheet. So the only reason that you're seeing this, where you're seeing 2, is because when you go over to layout, I have this checked. So this is what you would normally see. And you would print this sheet and then move it. But we don't have to do that because we're working in Corel, and we can print tiled sheets. So when we print tiled sheets, it's showing us that we're going to print 1, 2 sheets. right? And then we just have to cut the little excess off and then do it. We can do an overlap and make it print a larger overlap here so that when we go in and do it. So we're just going to go in, we're just going to print this out. Go to print and print it out. And I'll see you at the printer. So I'm over at the printer, and the paper that I'm going to use to do this with, I'm going to use the Jet Coal DHS sublimation paper. This is by that Neha paper, and so I'm going to use this paper to sublimate on, and the printer that we're going to put it in today is going to be this one, the Epson 2720. You can do it just about on either one. So I'm going to just go ahead and send the job over, and it should print out 2 sheets. Okay guys, so we printed out the design that we need. Excuse me. Okay, y'all, so we printed out the design that we need on our 2 sheets. And what you're going to need for this now to make this work is either a cutting board or a pair of scissors and some tape. I like to use heat transfer tape, but you can use regular tape. I prefer to use heat transfer tape because it can take the heat of the press. But if you're using like a cover sheet, it's no biggie. So I'm just going to peel a piece of my tape off and sit it down. So what happens is you get this overlap on each side, and you got to remove that. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to remove the overlap. And that overlap can be as big or as small as you want it, but you got to make sure that you get this exactly right? So I removed the overlap. So now I have to take this to the back side where we got that under piece. I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to just overlap that. And you got to be really careful because you don't want to have any type of a line. And as I'm overlapping this, I see a little piece of white, and I'm not sure if you can see it or not. I'm going to try to raise it up so that you guys can see it. Well, I'll try to bring the camera over here and show you guys where it is. Just a little bitty, itty bitty piece of white, but that little white line will transfer. So there is a little bitty white line right there on the black, on the where the broom is. So I'm going to go in, and I can actually see it now that I'm looking at it. And it's nowhere but that little bitty piece. So I see that I must have gotten off on my cutting board with it. So go back and do that again. Okay, put that back over there. Okay, so now again, I'm gonna try to do this tape thing. I'm just gonna cut off a piece of tape that I think is about long enough. And if you watch my videos, you'll notice that I am a person that is very left-handed. Okay, I'm a true bona fide lefty. So I'll tape this there. I like to tape it, and then I like to peel my tape up. The cutting board is really good because I can push that up to it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just come down here with this, and I'm going to just place it over there, and Now, because I'm doing this on video, it might take me a little bit longer to do, just because I'm on video if I was doing this. So I got my design tape there. I'm just gonna cut this piece of tape off. You can wrap it over, but in my mind, I always think that if I wrap that piece of tape, it's gonna do something to my t-shirt. So it's just in my mind. That doesn't happen. So I've got my design there now, and I'm just gonna go here and just cut this off, so I want to see where the top is. So there is the design, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna print it and show you guys that you're not gonna see that line. If you see a line after this is pressed, then that means that you did something wrong. I'm over at the press. I got my t-shirt, and I'm just gonna lay this on top. Well, actually, I'll go ahead and thread it on through. Show you guys how you thread it. Wasn't prepared to thread a shirt today, but this DK press, the issue that I have with it is that you've got to have a lot of room to be able to turn this lever here back. See, it hits the wall where I'm at, but it's still cool, you know. So you just thread it and get it on, and you can thread it from top or bottom. It's pretty long. I like to thread the other way. So one thing that I do want to do before I get started is just to do a quick little press, and then I'm just going to hit my emergency button and turn it off, because all I'm doing is just heating up the plate. So I've got the print, and there it is. It hasn't moved or anything like that. And I'm just going to line it up here on the plate. One thing that I do like about this press is that you see how even that is. I can easily just put my hand here and go three fingers without doing, sorry guys, okay, without doing a lot of, you know, back and forth on the alignment. So got 4 fingers here, and 3 and 3, almost 4. That's perfect. So you can cover with a Teflon sheet, because there's no ink around the edges. We're not going to worry about blowout or anything like that. And I've got the press set at 400. It actually needs to raise up just a little bit more. I'm going to set it at 405 because it has a drop of 5 degrees. I want it to be right at 400. So I'm going to let that heat up. And I'm going to do 40 seconds on this. Now, the shirt that I'm pressing, while we're letting that heat up, the shirt that I'm pressing on is a Gildan 50-50 blend. So you don't have to do a full 60 seconds on, you know, on a shirt like that. Sometimes the shirt will start to change colors. So you don't have to do a full 60 seconds. Just gonna, something is going on. Oh, I got the emergency button still pressed. I gotta release that button in order for the machine to start back. There we go. Okay, so the broom connection is there. Again, this is a 50-50 blend, so you're gonna get more of a vintage look. I'm gonna show you guys the print. Kind of zoom down over so that, well, you know what? I'm not gonna do it that way. Let's do it this way. Just take it off and show it to you. So there is the print. Let you guys zoom in. See? No lines, no mark. So you just turned your 8.5 by 11-inch printer into a wider format, and you can do this with dye sublimation. This is dye sublimation, but you could do like an all over dye sub print using this method. If you like the video, please go and subscribe to the channel. And if you're interested in learning how to do labels, then go and watch my next video or one of my other videos on labels, on creating your own labels for your brand. Thanks for watching.